Okay, so state of play is here again, and indeed, you may have noticed that after what? So it was it November that the E-levy first, the finance minister read the budget?
Yes, he read the budget in November.
So
yes.
December, January, February, March, 4 months, E-levy was finally passed, and we said, let me do something interesting again, because I like politics. I like the way political strategy is and everything else, right? But you need to applaud the MPP.
Why do you need to applaud them?
They really outwitted the other side. I mean, it's about strategy. The same way on the 7th of January 2021, I really applauded the minority side when they maneuvered to get the speaker elected. This one, they were outclassed. The fact that the speaker himself announced whilst in the chair that he didn't know that the thing was coming. I'm taking his word for it. The minority side also didn't know that the thing was coming. They showed up, in fact, they complained on the floor. They showed up on the floor and then E-levy was there. Where are our people? They started mobilizing. And then again, another strategy. Now we know that's what was happening. James Achikwesi, the MP for, is it Asin North?
Yes, Asin North.
Asin North. Was incumbent because he was fighting a legal battle in court and couldn't come. So the minority were less by one.
Yes.
Part of the long game strategy the guys were playing. You know, every time we have said, you don't have the number, and they say, watch us, we'll pass it. We don't have the, watch us. And then another one that I liked. They chose to commission the Tamale interchange. And by the way, the Tamale interchange spans constituencies all held by NDC MPs.
Yes. But they read in between the lines and they didn't go.
Well, some of them were, I understand, were almost at the airport.
But I was listening to Ahmed Ibrahim, who's the deputy minority whip, and he says, well, they picked the intelligence, so they invited 7 of their MPs. 7? And they said, look, you know what, we're not going to go. But that notwithstanding, finally on the day, and I think they were smart, you saw the ambulance there. I agree, you saw the ambulance there.
Yeah.
Some said the chieftaincy minister was in there. Now, the Speaker of Parliament has said he saw the chieftaincy minister in Parliament. The Speaker of Parliament says, I saw the chieftaincy minister, so he should be marked as present.
Exactly.
So yes, I can agree with you. But you ask yourself the simple question also. So the Speaker says he was surprised.
Yes.
Now, the business of the day, how come the business of the day will be planned and everybody in Parliament is not aware?
That is another reason why I say today we need to just
No, but I'm also asking a question.
But this is what happened. This is what happened. This is what happened. This is the answer. Last week Friday, when they were doing the business for the next week, they put it in the order paper.
Yes.
That they were going to take bills.
Yes.
They were going to take bills.
Yes.
What they didn't do was to specify which bill.
Yes.
So they were right.
So what would have happened on the day?
They were right. So they came to the floor. They came on Tuesday expecting to take bills.
Yes, but what would have happened?
E-levy bill, it's a bill.
What would have happened is that in the morning of Tuesday, the minority will know.
No, they didn't know.
But they got to know.
No, they didn't know.
They would know before they get into Parliament.
They didn't know.
Well, I mean,
it was on the floor.
Well,
that this thing emerged.
See, they would.
The leader of government business simply got up and simply introduced
the leader of government business. Yes, he's leader of government business, but there's a business committee.
Yes, but I'm sure that the business committee sat and considered
bills.
And exactly.
Then now when you get there,
in fact,
you see what happens is that yes, I mean it's allowed.
Yeah.
You can get up and say, oh, Mr. Speaker, because of so and so and so and so and so, I want us to consider this bill.
This is what happened.
That's allowed.
What happened?
They can do that. But for me, while I agree with you in all of this, I also asked a simple question. Was James Achikwesi standing a criminal trial?
You know, there are 2 cases before the court about him. There's one criminal and one civil.
This one was not a criminal one.
Yeah, but if you listen to Haruna, Haruna seemed to suggest that they were not sure if he would have been in contempt if he had come to court, if he had come to Parliament.
So it means that they are not sure whether he can actually be in Parliament or not.
Yes.
So the question is no longer apart from him. Because while they are fighting it in court, they're also trying to play it safe. Something they didn't do on the 6th of January.
Yeah, but now you see, but that is why I'm saying that if you really think about this strategically, whatever happened yesterday for the approval of the E-levy, I mean, we'll come to the legality and the propriety of it and everything else. But just appreciating political strategy, this had been planned for well over 2 months.
No, it was well planned.
No, and the thing, it didn't leak. I mean, there was no leakage. The fact that it was tight, it came, the minority were thrown off guard, they didn't anticipate it. And that is, you see, and let's go to the issues.
So, you see, but hold on a second. This is where, for me, the issue is. Now, if we say the minority was surprised in Parliament, they picked intelligence. So they prevented their members of Parliament from going to Tamale.
Oh, yeah, but that was when the thing had come.
No, they were invited prior.
Yes,
so they knew.
I think their luck was that.
Yes.
I think their luck was that. There's a certain luck in this. I think their luck, the MP didn't leave the day before.
So Ahmed Ibrahim says, we picked intelligence in the night. We picked intelligence.
No. They were, from what I understand, they decided to leave the morning.
But you see,
the morning, because it's just a flight. It's a 45 minutes flight.
So the morning before the commission.
They picked on the morning of the E-levy.
If you pick the intelligence the morning of the E-levy, a lot of things can happen in a day.
Because you see, if they had picked the intelligence the night before,
so that's why. So
they could have still gotten the Chukwueze in the house.
So you know my point. But Chukwueze was in Accra. Haruna's point about not being sure whether he was going to be in contempt of the court, there's something you're fighting. Okay. Now, so my point, I'm not going to get into even the legalese and everything of it. But my point is this. By the morning of the day,
they knew. Yeah, but it was. I mean,
but you see, did you hear the finance minister when he was addressing us last week saying, the E-levy very likely that it will be passed by the end of the month?
Yeah, by the end of the month. Yeah.
So automatically, I told you.
No. I mean,
when is the month ending? It's ending this week.
I get you. No, but the way he said it.
No, if I am the chief whip, but automatically I would know that they are up to something.
No, but let me ask you: when you heard the finance minister, did you take him seriously?
You know why I took him? You know when I took him serious?
When
I realized that the State of the Nation address is on Wednesday, 30th.
Okay. So you were thinking?
Then I started thinking asking myself. They would do it before the president goes to Parliament, and the Tuesday being the president's birthday too. You heard the speaker didn't you hear the speaker of Parliament?
Say what?
When he said, "You have surprised me." I mean, you have surprised me, and you have also surprised me. The majority surprised me.
That was because of the E-levy.
And I also will surprise you. You didn't hear that part?
But what was his surprise?
Well, his surprise, I'm going to tell you shortly. You heard him say, I'm going to surprise you. You heard him make reference to the president's birthday.
Yes.
You heard him make all these references.
Yeah.
What was the surprise? Did the E-levy not go through?
I think that the president, the speaker surprised.
I am only telling Ghanaians the chronology of events.
Okay, now you've brought a very important point. I mean, this is state of play, so we talk about it.
Yes.
So the strategy then, the minority strategy was to say, we don't have our numbers.
Yes.
So let's work out. So the plan, and if you ask me, it was the smartest thing. But that was the only option they could have done. I have people criticize them and say, but stay in the house. No. If they stayed in the house on the authority of the Supreme Court verdict, there would have been a quorum, there would have been what the Supreme Court called a voting quorum. The vote would have gone down. Now, the argument was that the majority side didn't have a Asafo, fact. But then they had 137.
Yeah.
Because the Chief Justice Minister was there. The minority side had 136. If they had stayed and voted, they would have lost. They would have lost. Now, so someone argued that, yes, stay, vote, and lose, but at least we would have seen that you voted against it. I'm saying, if my argument is, if your ultimate intention is to get the E-levy, stop the E-levy, the best option was what they did. Because on the authority of the Supreme Court verdict, if you leave, there will not be a voting quorum of 138, which is what they did. Now, the challenge, though, is, how do you prove that there were less than 138 people in the house?
Ajasafo is not around. So it's very simple.
How do you prove Ajasafo wasn't around?
Was she in Parliament? She was marked absent. Nobody has come to say Ajasafo was in Parliament.
So you are using the voter proceedings?
Yes, I'm using the voter proceedings.
The voter proceedings said there were 266 people present.
That has been corrected today.
Yeah, but still, it will mark present as far more than 138.
Well, it's no, see, yes. So
yes.
So you've raised another raised another point.
Yes.
And that's the point the Supreme Court would have to rule on. And that's not for you and I. It's not for you and me seated here to actually debate it. We can debate it. But the point is, what will be the Supreme Court's verdict? I was speaking to Professor Akufo Addo yesterday, and I asked him the question. The Supreme Court has ruled this and that. Then he made a point that was similar to what Bagbin said. You know, when Bagbin returned in December, in chastising Joe, it was one of the things he said was that he believed that there was quorum to take the decision in rejecting the budget. Now you would ask yourself, if you are the majority, that you came to Parliament and said, because the minority at the time were 137, and so did not form a quorum, and so you should now set aside that decision and now say you have approved the budget. How do you justify what happened on the day? Are you now going to resort to the same argument that Bagbin made, which you disagreed? Unless we want to say, well, politics is not a game of morality, and that as a people we don't like morals so long as it favors us. But if that is the situation, if what the majority said in the past is anything to go by, and the minority is doing the same thing, then you would say they don't meet it. Because on the face of it, the minimum criteria is that when it comes to taking decisions or voting, you need at least half of all members present and voting. The interpretation is now the issue. I am no lawyer.
But half is half. I think it's your half is half.
No, half is half.
Half is half.
Now the president. So when I put it to the lawyers, a professor for that matter, he says, on the face of it, it doesn't meet the minimum criteria set out in the Constitution.
Yes, true.
But now the question becomes, what does present and voting mean?
Yeah. Is it present in the chamber or present in Parliament and having been recorded by the official register and by the vote and proceeding that you were present?
How did we approve the budget? Is the question we must find answers to. We approved the budget by 138 members of Parliament who had earlier set aside a rejection of the budget because they said
they were 137. And they didn't form a quorum.
So if there's anything to go by, then you also would say,
then if it's good for the
bingo.
Good for the guy.
You say bingo.
Okay, so but here's the thing. I want to say something about the Speaker of Parliament. I want to say about the Speaker of Parliament. And I'm taking my cue from something Mahama Yaga. Mahama Yaga is one of the plaintiffs in the case on PM message yesterday. Mahama Yaga says, and remember, let's put it in context. The Speaker of Parliament is an NDC Speaker of Parliament.
Yes.
I mean, it's a factual matter.
He's a member of the NDC.
Let me rephrase. He is a founding member of the NDC. Right? Before he became Speaker, he was an NDC Member of Parliament. He was the majority leader for the NDC. He was a minority, so he's NDC.
Yes, he's NDC. That's not in doubt.
It's a factual matter. Okay. So, and as we've known, the way politics have done it over the years, the Speakers of Parliament, with the slight exception of Peter Lajete, who stood up against his own, a lot of the speakers we've had played ball with the side that appointed them. Yeah. True or false?
Well, you're right.
True. Okay. Now, so pay attention to what Mahama Yaga has said to me yesterday. Mahama Yaga said he was surprised at the conduct of his NDC colleague, who is the Speaker of Parliament.
He told them he was going to surprise them, didn't you hear it?
So that's the point you're making earlier?
Yes.
Okay. But he said he was surprised at this conduct. Why? Because he said when they left, he was expecting Abang Bagbin, his friend, compatriot in the NDC, sitting as the Speaker, to raise the issue of quorum.
Look, what I can tell you.
By himself.
Yes, what I can actually tell you is that there were members of the majority. And you heard Oseche Mensah Bonsu waiving his opportunity to speak so a question could be put on the principles of the bill.
Yeah.
Now, there are some members of the majority, I know, who have said, well, let's see what happens. You normally would expect somebody to raise an issue about a quorum and all of that. That issue was not raised. Let's wait and see what the Supreme Court will do. So even for him, he's not very sure because he's asking himself a few questions. He says, well, was it necessary for anybody to raise the issue of a quorum? If that wasn't raised, can it affect the case? Well, let's hold on and see what the Supreme Court will do. And so you're right. The Speaker maybe could have said, honorable members, based on the Supreme Court ruling, That is, if he agreed with the Supreme Court ruling.
He disagreed with the Supreme Court ruling.
But that's law. The Supreme Court rules and it's law.
It's law. It's law. But here's the thing. Ayega's further point is that Ayega says he cited a precedent in the past, forgotten what it was, that he said same Abambabing without any member, because the argument was raised. I put the argument to him that the speaker is a speaker. So obviously, if nobody caught his eye to object, you didn't expect the speaker to now descend into become an MP, to become an activist speaker, to raise a quorum. He said, no. This same Abambabing, this is Ayega, had before, in another instance, by himself, sitting as a speaker, said he wanted to satisfy himself that there was quorum to do business in the House, and asked for a count. Ayega questions why his compatriot NDC man, who is the speaker, didn't elect to satisfy himself when they left the chamber.
Why didn't they also remind him?
But they've left the chamber. How can they remind him?
No, so in stating, I mean, well, now it could be hindsight, but in stating that he should have reminded himself or convinced himself, you could have also said, and Haruna Iddrisu could have said, Mr. Speaker, right after my speech, we will not be part of this decision. And mind you, there are 137 members of parliament on the other side. We don't have a quorum to do business. And then you walk out. Automatically, you've drawn the speaker's attention to it. I am saying, if that's what you sought to do, and you believed, at that point in time, they said there's no art to find the mind's construction in the face. You don't know what somebody is thinking about. So why don't you make it very clear? We can say this with hindsight. But I am saying, since you've also planned, and in the first place, the moment you realize that you pick intel in the morning, that you are going to do what? Pass this. What could you have done? The minority on the 30th of November said they were not even going to go to Parliament. They were not. So they were not even captured as present. You remember that?
Yeah.
All 137 of them.
Because they had advanced knowledge. But
So
this one,
now that you picked intel in the morning.
It was too late.
Wait. Now that you picked intel in the morning, why did they go and debate even in the first place?
No, I mean, but
I am saying, once you pick intel in the morning, Adwoa Safu's case is known. Evans, Adwoa Safu's case is known to all. She is not in the country. The minority could have even stayed away.
But does it affect their case at the Supreme Court? The fact that they were there?
I am not sure it does.
Yeah, so I don't see the point. That's what I'm all for.
Well, the Supreme Court is not bound by its previous decisions.
But you see,
that's law.
I agree. Yes. I agree that they can depart.
Yes.
Because again, the panel that will be considered is not. It cannot be the same panel.
And they're not bound by their previous decisions.
But this one, it's okay. It's okay. Let me read. Let me read.
But I mean, I've been thinking. We like politics and we like the law also. I've been thinking about this and I've asked myself, can this approval stand? I don't know. You see, on the face of it, on the authority of the Supreme Court verdict, it appears it can't stand. And that is why we ask the question, can the anchor hold? I mean, the finance minister says 1 month to implementation. Okay. So, and again, the question then becomes, will the Supreme Court hear this, decide on it before 1st of May? It could go beyond the 1st of May.
No, also because, and Ayega himself concedes yesterday, procedurally, there are timelines set when you go to the Supreme Court for doing things, filing, response.
Yeah.
So that alone will take it beyond that.
Yes.
The key question to ask is, will the Supreme Court, assuming they start collecting, right, before the judge, will the Supreme Court say, after they start collecting or they've collected the money, say that it is unconstitutional? If they did that, they have to refund your money to you.
Well, yes. I mean,
how practical is that?
That was the question I put to Kofi Abuchi yesterday, Professor Abuchi, and he says, ab initio, it means it was now. Yeah. So they have to refund the money. Yes, they have to refund your money.
But that's my point.
Yeah.
Well, how is it?
We'll find a way of collecting our monies around that time. But let me just chip this in before we get into the messages. Now, if Haruna Iddrisu tells you that they were not sure about whether or not the Asin North MP could be in Parliament, if it happens to be the case that he was not qualified to be in Parliament, what would be the number? What would be the half?
Let me calculate it.
Oh, 274 divided by 2.
No, but
no, we're having a conversation, so I just put this out.
No, but that is a very interesting point I haven't thought about.
Yeah.
So that will be 274
divided by 2.
Divided by 2.
That's what
137.
Let's get into the messages.
You're a very diabolical man.
I'm just asking. We are looking at, we're exploring all the angles.
But the substantive matter hasn't been determined.
That's the point. And that's why you should have gone there. At 137, the motion is lost. But if you're expressing the doubt, I do not know. I have just put this out.
Okay. But constitutionally, as far as the parliament architecture goes, we have 127 MPs.
Yes.
Sorry, 275 MPs. Yes.
But
so half of that is...
But if anybody...
But once it is vacant...
No, but yes,
once it is vacant...
Once a seat is vacant, it will not count.
Are you sure?
It doesn't have to count.
What?
Well, this will be determined by the Supreme Court anyway.
We'll see.
But we're putting together...
Famous Smith says, if 137 NDC MPs can reject budget, then 137 MPs can pass E-levy. Okay, we'll see. And then Seraphine Barons Dodo comes to respond to Famous and says, exactly the argument. And you've made that point. I mean, if it's good for the
goose,
it must be good for
the gander.
Okay, so Seraphine, yeah, I see your point. Collins Little Tete, the genius of our ruling class is that it has kept the majority of people from ever questioning the inequality of a system where most people drudge along, paying heavy taxes for which they get nothing in return. Hashtag state of play. Abinye Abdul Aziz, why blame the minority for what the government did?
I'm not sure anybody's blamed the minority. We're exploring the options available to us. I mean, whether they could have stayed, whether they could have brought their sin North MP.
Look, the point is, you have to admire whether it is for good or for bad. You just have to admire the political chicanery and strategy behind the way they got the E-levy passed. By hook or crook, they've done it.
Yeah, they've done it.
I mean, and that you need to, if you are appreciating the way politics, you have to just appreciate that. And then you can move on to the other conversations about whether it was for good or for bad. But, that for that. Famous comes back. You voted MPP government to power and now blaming NDC MPs for E-levy. Well, we haven't blamed them for the E-levy. The point is that it has been passed. They are going to fight. In fact, we've made a point. Will the anchor hold? That is still, the jury is out there.
Yeah, I mean,
because the E-levy has been passed, but it's still hanging.
Yeah.
Another thing I need to say on this. If the president, the E-levy was so much, the president has been, how long? Has been 48 hours since the E-levy was passed. He hasn't assented to it.
Well, maybe he will do it today or tomorrow.
But you think that immediately they pass? No, but they have to.
Well, it's a confidence thing, So you're looking for the passage to send a certain signal, particularly to your investors in a country where we rely so much on investors, in a country where we rely so much on people coming into the country, in a country where we do not own our economy. You want people to look out there, sit out there and say, at least they can pay their debts.
But it's not law.
It is not law.
Why hasn't he signed?
It is not law.
This is so desperate. It
is not law. But when a president goes to parliament to say, I'm happy you have approved the E-levy,
and then he didn't sign it.
He probably may have been signing it by now.
Well, as of yesterday, a source, very important source, told me that there were some corrections.
Yes, they will do the corrections.
That they were doing.
And then they will send to it.
But definitely by the end of the week.
Yeah.
Okay. You have a few more messages.
Yes, Famous Smith says, I like the analysis from Evans. Solar Sky says, Farouk Ali Muhammad said, Inshallah, by the end of March, E-levy will be passed, or Punkman said it will be passed. The finance minister said same. So this can't be a surprise. And Mo Tamu says the minority is simply hypocritical. Donas Flame Destiny says, replying to Mo Tamu says, listen to analysis. There's nothing hypocritical about this. And
Famous Smith says something that he says, if the Supreme Court rules against the E-levy suit, then I can boldly say our democracy is in crisis. Do you agree?
If they rule against
if they rule against the minority.
Well, I need to see the reasons.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, for now, I just can't say that, even though on the face of it, I think the minority has a strong case. Let me be very honest. I mean, on the face of it, what I'm seeing, I think they have a strong case.
But you see, the court rule. The thing about the Supreme Court is, I mean, on the face of it, yes. But by the time they do the analysis, sometimes, most often I've started off by thinking, like on this, can the presiding speaker vote? Mm-hmm. I was clear in my head that the presiding speaker can vote. In fact, Joseph Owusu himself was clear in his head that he wants to presiding, he can vote. Yeah. Unless he's taking a break and left, which is what he attempted to do. Yeah. But when the Supreme Court gave a verdict and said, why presiding can vote, and I read the reason, I'm like, I was convinced. I don't know if you came to the same conclusion when you read it.
Well, I got convinced too, but that's when I realized that this case should not even have gone to. Well, it went to the Supreme Court and made it clear. But you see, this is, I guess, have Order 109. A deputy speaker or any member presiding shall not retain his original vote while presiding. Mm-hmm. Can he retain his casting votes?
No, but here's the thing. Isn't that what they struck out?
So they struck out. So what I'm just trying to say is that I'm sure if the MPs had averted their minds to it critically,
it would have been they
probably would not have gone to the Supreme Court for interpretation.
But the thing, this is point to the famous Smith's point that he made there, that sometimes you think it's clear cut.
Yeah.
Until the verdict comes, you are disappointed at the verdict, then you get the ruling, you get the reasons, and then you read, say, hey, the Supreme Court guy, they think. Because when I started reading the judgment, I'm like, but this is really, so why were we
I read the judgment, yes, and that's what I'm saying, sometimes when you read the judgment, so let's wait for the judgment.
Whoever wrote that judgment did a brilliant job. I got convinced 100% when I read it. Anyway, okay, so famous, then there's also the minority is simply hypocritical. Donors comes to say, listen to analysis, there's nothing, okay, I think you read that. Alfred Agboja, Dagbing made a big mistake on that ruling. That's what he says, on that day's ruling. Okay. The Speaker of Parliament cannot raise the issue of quorum. It is left with the MPs to do that. Famous, that's really what the procedure is, except Mahama Yaiga believes, cites a precedent with Dagbing himself, who himself raised a quorum to satisfy himself. And so that's what I'm saying, that because the order says a member shall raise it. But that's why I said that in leaving, the minority should have just raised the quorum issue and said, but as we leave, Mr. Speaker, bear in mind. But that was the 137, of course.
So that then it means that you sounded.
They should employ you as their strategy. Collins Tete says, after 65 years of independence, Ghana's economy has not seen enough structural transformation to propel it into an economic giant. Mismanagement of our taxes is a major cause. Kojo Owusu, but MPs are 274. So therefore, 137 is half. Okay, that's the point you're raising, right?
Yes, that's the point I'm raising.
But MPs are 274. So therefore, 137 is half. The MPs are not 274. They are 275.
But I raised that
point. Your point here,
based on what Haruna Idrisu had said to you. And that's why I raised that point. Yes.
Yes. Yeah, and Kojo comes to make the point. Famous Smith, I say North is not part of. Okay, so people are really reading into that point you made. Yeah. He said, Famous comes, I said, has his seat been declared vacant? But that's another point.
That's another point.
Formally, it hasn't been. Formally, it hasn't been. So as we speak, Famous, you are right. Formally, it hasn't been. So as we speak, it must be counted. Ezekiel, quorum be quorum. Nothing can change. Nothing more, nothing less. Supreme Court cannot change this ruling. Florings, why are you using 274? The required number is 275 by law. Have they declared the seat vacant? Okay, the point. Date Rush. Date Rush is commenting. Date Rush. Please. Really, is it Date Rush? It says 6th update. Please, but you should know that the Speaker of the Sikababin did not declare the seat vacant. Okay. Kwame Black. This case, I'm going nowhere. Ghana, we day. James, please, no seat in Parliament is vacant until Speaker formally announced. Kojo, minority knew they don't have numbers. That's why they walked out. In the Bure, it's going to be a constitutional disaster if the Apex Court doesn't stand by the earlier ruling, which will further create doubt in them for Ghanaians. So, look, listen, there's so many of you. Let's continue the conversation on our social media pages. Thank you for watching. All 400 of you who joined us. Listen, enjoy the rest of your day.